building was built right around 1930. It was built by some of the original Czech settlers that settled Malin at the turn of the century. I think they arrived in 1909. Václav Kalina is the name of the guy who helped build this building and the building next door. As far as brick and mortar and studs and those sorts of things, it's all original. Like the wall lines and everything else is original, but there was so much damage in here. It was boarded up and unused for 44 years. There was a tremendous amount of damage that had been done in here over the course of that period of time, especially once the roof fell into disrepair, then everything inside sort of just disintegrated. After they closed the theater, they used it primarily for storage. The whole front entrance to the theater, everything was boarded up for 40 years. I was thinking primarily about wanting to have a youth center for Youth for Christ and a specific location for us. So when we purchased the building next door, the theater came along with it, and it had been boarded up my whole life. So, and at that point in time, we just sort of began to pray and dream about do eventually with the theater, and the idea of hopefully being able to use the building again. Benny Goodman, all those sorts of big bands played next door. Doris Day performed here in the theater. I think Trigger, Roy Rogers' horse was in here. I mean, just all sorts of just crazy stuff. You would think like, what in the world? That happened in Malin, but yeah, it happened in Malin. But yeah, the theater and the Broadway hall next door were used for all sorts of community events and performances, all that sort of stuff, all the way till they closed the theater. There still is, even though, culture has moved on, there's still a really big need for what this building was originally used for. And it was originally used for like school plays, school band concerts, I think some of their high school graduations, certainly for films, performances, music performances, dramas, it just was used to serve the communities out of. And so with Youth for Christ, we have a big emphasis on working together with the community. It's called collaborative community strategy. We see that as an essential thing. And so we want to work together with the community. And the whole idea was, it's like, man, if the Lord would provide the funds and the labor and all the stuff that was going to have to be provided for this building to be restored, just the potential of it, is huge. So the idea was, if we could restore the building, we could use it for showing community films, which we just did last Sunday. We showed Rogue One, Star Wars story in here. Yeah, families can afford to come. It's just for donation only. We're showing it as soon as videos or films get released basically to Blu-ray, is the point when we're going to show them. But people can come in and watch the film for a donation. Also, our concession stand that we have, we're not like gouging people to death it's affordable, right? They can afford to bring their family to the film or to the movie. And then also, since we've been able to start reusing the building, Youth for Christ uses it during the school year on a weekly basis for our campus life meetings with high school students. We'll bring them, we play next door, but then when it's time to talk about the Bible and what Jesus has to say about it, the Bible, we come in here and I'll do my talks and things inside the building. So we use it on a weekly basis for that purpose. But Tule Lake Elementary School this year brought their students over every single month during the school year who had perfect attendance. And they brought them here to reward them for their perfect attendance, to show them a film. And so we coordinated with them for that. So they'd bring them over during the school day, and we'd have like between 50 to 70 elementary school age kids in the theater watching an animated, film or whatever. Carla's The Dancers Studio came down and did a Christian dance performance in here over the summer. We used it for our Youth for Christ, our annual banquet. We had Ryan Stevenson, is a really popular Christian recording artist right now. He came down and did a concert for us. On Tuesday, we did a memorial service for Denny Kalina. He's the man who owned the hardware store across the street, and he's a descendant of the original settlers of the town. In fact, it was his uncle that helped build this building. So it was super cool to have his memorial service in here, and a big honor to have that in here. And then think back, like, how cool that would have been, for him to see all these folks back together in Malin. In memory of him and visiting and talking and all the rest of that stuff together. So we're able to use it for tons of things, and basically we're using the building exactly for what it used to be used for. There's been a ton of community support, community involvement. There's been a whole bunch of financial donations. And then, there's just been an insane amount of donated labor. Like, if we would have had to pay for all the labor to do all of this, we couldn't. There's no way. In 2014 was when we really began to be able to use the building for the first time, when we had the seats in, and we just were far enough along where we could begin to use the building and cleared all the permits and all that sort of stuff. And so since 2014, though, we've been using it a whole bunch. Like I say, like on a weekly basis during the school week with Klamath Life for our high school students that are in here, once a month for the most part. There's been a couple months we've missed, but for the most part, once a month, the first Sunday of the month, we've been showing community film in here. So we've been using it for that. We've had a couple of weddings in here. We've had, I think, 3 different memorial services in here. This Lost River has brought students over to reward them for their grades. Along the way, anytime when we were doing any sort of construction, if we found anything that seemed historically significant, we donated it to the Malin Historical Society. I think as far as what we have left to do inside the theater now, the primary needs that we have left are, as I already mentioned, I think we've already got the funds in place for redoing the front doors, which we'll keep in line with the genre of the building. But now the primary thing that we have left to do is the rest of the audio, video, sound equipment, and curtains. We really need some performance. It'd be fabulous to have some performance curtains in here so that you can close the stage off and reveal things and all the rest. It would also certainly improve with the looks of the building and everything, but curtains it's expensive. The other thing that's been really fun with the theater is when we show something in here and there's people here, like if we're showing a film in here or we're doing an event in here, and there's people here from Malin, obviously, and Merrill, and Tule Lake, and Doris, and Bonanza, and Klamath Falls, and they're all in here sort of together, right? And to see how it's drawing folks from other communities, and that we're doing things together. We're all in one spot together enjoying similar entertainment. There's a lot of conversations that happen before. There's a lot of conversation that happens afterwards. And I just think it's like super healthy as far as community is concerned.